Professor Julian gives a lecture about Neanderthals, an extinct group of humans. He says that according to the studies of Darwin and Galton, the Neanderthals were very dumb and absolute savages. The theories explain how civilized and intelligent they were based on their appearance. However, Julian disagrees, saying that the humans at present are not completely different to the Neanderthals. He also reveals that the world's only non-fossilized Neanderthal was found by his professor. Julian finishes the lecture by saying that by using the findings' DNA, it is theoretically possible to create a living Neanderthal. Barbara, a medical scientist, attends this lecture, and later that day, she goes looking for Julian while he is at a restaurant. She brings up his idea about bringing back the Neanderthal, and also reveals that it is complicated but not impossible. Julian, intrigued to hear this, continues to exchange his ideas with her, and by the end of it, she is curious to know the reason behind his obsession with Neanderthals. Julian intends to show her his answer and takes her to his lab, showing her two stone tools, one made by Homo sapiens and the other by Neanderthals. She doesn't find much difference between them, but Julian mentions that this is one clue that could help them learn a lot about human evolution. Following this, Julian and Barbara decide to find whether they can evolve. From then on, they started working on the project to clone the Neanderthal and release groundbreaking papers on the matter. In the meantime, they also move in together and have a wonderful romantic life. Unfortunately, many scientists and professors are worried about the potential backlash and cancel their support. Despite this, the couple decide to continue the project, and ultimately Barbara decides to carry the cloned embryo in her womb while everyone thinks that she's having a normal baby. Executing this, the couple go to Las Vegas and get married. As planned, months later, Barbara gives birth in the hospital, but the nurses give a shocked look on seeing the baby before handing him to Barbara, and Julian even kisses the boy's forehead. After this, Julian gathers the scientists and professors who dropped out on their project and gives a presentation explaining what they did. They convene an emergency meeting immediately after to discuss the public backlash, but soon conclude that they will be supportive to gain publicity. So, the next morning, Julian calls for a press conference to reveal to the world about the Neanderthal baby they brought to the world. A reporter asks for more details, and Julian shows them a clip of the baby and tells them the baby was named William after the scientist who discovered Neanderthals as a separate species. After the conference is over, Julian's boss reminds him that he has to take care of the project and keep it under control at all times. Soon, many protesters came forward complaining that cloning is immoral and a sin against God. However, Julian and Barbara made sure that William grew up as a normal kid. The protesters stopped eventually, and even the news stopped talking about him, since they didn't get any traction. Julian spent the years studying his son and confirmed his stand against theories, mentioning that Homo sapiens drove Neanderthals to extinction. Because William started to talk earlier than most children, and even developed faster, showing he is more intelligent than kids of his age. However, one day William got sick, and the doctors found that no medicine was working on him, but being with his mother, Barbara helped William get better naturally. This is because his immune system is very robust and adapts fast, which promises a good development in medical applications. William basically grew up inside a laboratory, but Barbara opposed this and wanted him to live a normal life. To Julian, William is an experiment, and he reminded Barbara that she must not treat him like his son. This crossed a line with Barbara, and it really hurt her, causing her to leave Julian for good. Using this situation, she got permission from the board to take William to the outside world. Barbara and William moved to a new house, and he was excited to have his own room. Julian reached out to them and helped Barbara to find a good school for William. Thankfully, William had a great time at school and got along with the other kids. Julian visited him often and spent time with him playing outside, making William enjoy his freedom. One day, William was riding his bike down the road but got chased down by kids who called him a caveman. William rode his bike as they gave chase, but this incident ended up with him knocking down the kids. The parents of the kids filed a complaint against William, but the cops did not file one since this was a normal fight between kids. After this, Barbara explained to William that he is stronger than the other kids and asked him to walk away whenever someone wanted to fight him. After this, William went to his room and searched on the internet and found all the articles about his birth, including the protests. He read about Neanderthals and saw that they were believed to be savages. The days followed normally as Julian joined William, but Barbara came home with his new boyfriend, and ever since Julian stopped coming here. Years later, William started high school and he made some good friends. His crush Judy asked him to join the school play, which William accepted, and that weekend, William and his two friends go on a camping trip. That time they came across a couple who asked to join the boys around the fire. They asked what happened to William's William's face and were surprised to find he was the Neanderthal baby. The woman asked him if he ever missed his people, and William said yes. Back from the trip, William joined Judy for the play and even got his first kiss as part of the story. However, when continued to kiss her behind the curtain, she told him to stop since she has no feelings for him. A few days later, Barbara and Julian meet with the principal, who explains that William is smart but he isn't good with standardized tests. He would need extensive tutoring for his college applications, and Julian gets angry on learning that Barbara has no plans for William to go to college. Barbara explains that William could get a part-time job after graduation, but Julian is against this since William is smarter than any other kid. Seeing them argue, the principal reminds them that it is ultimately up to William to decide what he wants to do. That night they explain the situation to William, and Julian proposes to William to come live with him to get tutoring lessons. Barbara is against this. However, William, wanting a normal life like the others, accepts Julian's offer. So Barbara drives him to Julian's secluded house and they say goodbye to each other. He looks around the house for a while and finds one of the Neanderthal stone tools placed on one of the shelves. Suddenly he's startled by a noise and finds a woman standing there. She introduces herself as his tutor and her name is Sarah. She explains Julian is at work and William can't help feeling awkward around a stranger. William soon joins them and they have dinner together. Sarah notices that William eats a lot, so Julian explains that William's metabolism is different and requires more calories than the average person. After dinner, Julian tells William he's proud of him for dreaming to aim higher. The next day, Sarah helps William with his studies and finds that William is very good at math, but English is a bit hard for him. In the evening, Julian checks on William's practice tests and gets angry because he is not meeting his expectations, and blames Sarah for not doing her job. William says it isn't her fault, only for Julian to throw the test papers in his face and leave the house. William tears up and Sarah comforts him and takes him out on a walk through the forest. She shares that her parents were also the same as Julian and she hated them, but now she can't complain about the great education she got. William reveals that he loves singing and sings the song from his school play. Soon the biology gets to them, causing William and Sarah to kiss and explore further. They return to the house later that night and Julian confronts them for not preparing for the exam the next day. That night William takes the stone tool and sleeps, thinking will he ever be accepted as a normal human. In the morning, Sarah takes William to the exam site. As soon as the exam begins, William has trouble since the pencils keep on breaking because of his strength. Seeing that he is nervous and cannot continue taking the test, William gets up and leaves the room. He walks along getting weird looks from everyone around him. William soon reaches the university to see Julian's professor who found the Neanderthal remains. She takes him to her lab to see the specimen, which is conserved in a special cage. William looks at it and says that he doesn't belong here and walks out. Learning of William walking out of the exam, Sarah contacts Barbara and they start looking for him. Meanwhile, William has sneaked into one of Julian's lectures and finds Julian taking a class on him. Julian, however, explains that William is a brute and a savage. Hearing this, Julian reveals himself and calls him out, saying he doesn't know anything about him. However, Julian says that William is a failure. William walks out on hearing this, and Julian follows him outside and tries to apologize. However, William refuses and says he's not his father, which makes Julian slap him. William turns to leave, but Julian grabs him, and this causes the stone tool in William's pocket to fall down. They both try to pick it up, and at the moment Julian tries to grab his arm, causing William to react, which ends up hurting Julian with the stone tool. The students around start filming this, and William runs away. Sarah and Barbara, searching for William, find the police cars heading somewhere. Barbara stays with Julian, and Sarah looks for William. Soon, she spots him, but she's stopped by the police. The police tell William to stop, but seeing that he does not belong here, William moves forward, causing the police to shoot him down. Sarah cries out, but to no avail. William has passed away. After some time, we see Sarah with a small child resembling William in her hands.